Let me just stop the server real quick. So here I'll just do a Control-C just to stop the server. Okay. So yes, the first thing I need to do is we need to like create an app called Books, which I did create. So you're going to use the command python manage.py start app books, which I'm gonna put it there. I'm not gonna start up books because we already have books here. We already have books here, so we already have it. But this is the command that I used then. As when you do that, when you start the app Books, you'll get like the application. So when you start an app, so it's different from the project. So the project, when you create the Django project, it houses all the apps you're going to build. So you can make as many apps which are split into modules performing different functions. So in the books, in the books directory, you're seeing a couple of files in there. I've got the init file identifying this folder, this books folder, this books directory as a Python package. Then we've got the admin.py file. This is a configuration file for the built-in Django admin app. Then we've got if apps.py is a configuration file for the app itself. So you've got also like the app has its own specific structure. So like I said before, when you're using Django, everything is structured. Everything, when you create when you start a project, you start an application, you have like a defunct and described file structure there. It's different from how I was programming in Flask, so it was actually quite different. Then we've got the migrations directory that stores migration files for database changes. Then we've got the models.py file. This is where we define our database models which are going to use, and also our test.py file, which allows us to do some unit testing on our models, and our views.py file, which enables us to handle the request and response logic from our web app. So this is actually quite important, because having that file structure enables us to know how to be able to go about this. But first, we will go to we'll have to add our books app into the Django project, into the /settings file, the settings file in the Django project. So went to the settings file, then I added the books app that we just created. As you can see, after we did the startup books, these are the first thing that you need to do, because this is us that we have defined it. So that application, you have to put it there, books.apps.book.bookconfig. Then after we have done that, we'll go to our books model. So we'll go to the books model.py file, and we will create like the structure in which we want our books to be saved. So you've got the title, you've got the subtitle, you've got the author, and you've got this other field, ISBN, which will enable us just to have it enables us, the ISBN enables the book to have like a specific number for it to be able to be differentiated from any other book. So books have different versions, so you can have a book with a similar title but different number there. So once you have created that model, we have to perform migrations on it. So to make migration, the first thing you need to do when you alter a model, you have to make migration so that the Django application and the database are all like in sync, and everything that you and the thing that reflects in the model reflects as well as in the database table. So in this case, we'll be using SQLite 3. So the command that I used there was the python manage.py make migrations to books. So when I run this, I was able to alter the SQLite database that was going to be created by default, because it didn't specifically specify if you're going to use MySQL, but on default is SQLite 3. So when you make migrations to books, so it creates the model, so it creates like a database table that has these fields, there. So upon doing that, you make migrations to book, then you do python migrate.py manage.py migrate. So then you'll get okay response in there. So yeah, then also after you have done that, that's just dealing with like the models and having like after dealing with the models and restructuring our database to be able to like have those fields, the next thing is to create a super user. So creating a super user, this is the good thing about Django. It enables you to access its admin feature. So in Flask you have to create your own admin feature, but in Django you have the ability to get into to utilize Django admin. So you don't have to create like a whole other interface for the admin. So Django already has it for you. So to create a super user, you use python manage.py create super user, which I used there. So when I did that, I created my own super user and I gave a password to it. So I'm just going to go ahead and log in to my super user. So I will also look at the books admin.py. So you can see also the books have an admin.py, which you're going to alter because it came default when it was empty. So this one enables us, so it enables the admin to be able to like see books in there. We have just added books into the admin part. So for me to be able to like get into like the admin, I'll have to start up the Python server. So python manage.py run server. Hold. Then when I open this, I'll just follow that link, just open it. Let me just show it on the screen. Alright, now this is the endpoint that we had when you open it by default, but when I go to the endpoint admin, you can see I already logged in, and you're seeing we saw our books model when we already made the migrations locally, and also when we added the books in the admin.py file in books, when we added it there, it was able to be seen here. So you can add a record, you can add a book, let's say Game of Thrones. Then this is a song of ice and fire, song of ice and fire, then and fire. Then the author is me, I am the author in this case. Then I'll just put a random number there. Then when I hit save, it's going to be taken in as a record. So you can see I created a couple of records inside. So just to be able to like when I'm able to like just write a HTTP response and return for a JSON when I was testing it, which I'm going to do later. So yes, so you can see you can be able to add and delete records using the Django admin. Yes. So after that, after adding a record there, you're just going to go to the views, because views is a very important thing because it enables us to, as we mentioned earlier, to create some endpoints to be able to at least manipulate a few things, especially when it comes to like creating an endpoint and returning like a web page. You use views to do that. So yes, let me just switch up here a bit. We go to the views part. We go to the views.py. So in this case, we imported some few modules, then we created a class books list view, which returns this template, books list.html. So inside the books directory, we had another subdirectory called templates that houses our HTML file. We created the books list, and from this books list, you can see it's getting the data from the books that we saved. You can see from the admin previously, when we added those records, we were just using a for loop to iterate through that books list and output it on and just output it as like raw HTML in there. So that's why when we run the server by default, then we just went back to like the normal address. You could see it just made sure to output like this. So you can see our Game of Thrones that we created is here. So these are the data of the books that I created just while text testing, but after you add from the admin side, you're able to see it output here. So it just brought us back like what we saw from the database. So from that, and we just created like we used like a for loop in there. So this syntax is actually quite interesting, because this one enables us to do some looping into using Python inside of HTML, which is actually quite interesting. When I was looking at Python development for web apps and websites, especially when you're creating like adding a bit of logic. So this symbol adds some logic in there. Then also have other symbols that add variables in there. So in this case, these are the variables. These are the variables, and this is the symbol that enables someone to embed logic inside HTML, given the fact that you want to output data from the database through HTTP, and someone is able to access it but not accessing the database directly. So yes, from that we're going to go check out the URLs. So we have, remember our Django project, the directory houses like it's like the heartbeat for the whole application, which has like the parent settings. So we are going to go to the Django project /urls.py file, which we are going to add this path. We are going to add this path there that will enable somebody to be able to access, the parent app be able to access this app that you've created inside our whole project. So we need to set up both the project level URLs files and then one within the books app. So when a user visits our site that we have created, they will initially interact with the Django projects URL.py file. So let's configure that one first. So we also configured that one, and we able to get that. And after adding that path, this path that's the one that we added there, after adding that path, we also went to the books.url. We also have to go to the books.url and also add this path there. So now we can configure our books/url. So this one enables us to be able to like not only like go to the apps, but it enables like the app to be able to access everything that pertains to like the data coming from the database. Then our templates, we created like our templates there, and this template outputs like the books that we have inside our DB, currency from the SQLite. After you run like the migration, it stores the data inside the database in SQLite, and we want to output it through HTTP. So We used some logic coming from some Python, Flask and Django, just to like be able to just output data, just to be able to output data from on HTML. So, and with that, just wrote a couple of unit tests. Also writing some unit tests just to test the book content, list view, yeah, and then that's that. Let me just close the server real quick. So given that this is the first part of like the application, just setting up everything in the application. So to test these tests, so just use python manage.py then tests. So do that. So when you run that, you only have 2 tests that we were checking for, which they were okay. I only managed to write 2 tests. There was not much to be able to like test, especially given the models that we created. We only created like a few, so running that only gave us like only two there. Then of course we have to also track our code in Git. So all this I committed all these changes that we made to GitHub, and I will leave the link to it in the description. So just do a python manage.py run server, just going into this link that you're provided, so you can see all books are there. In the next video we'll talk about how I created the API that accesses these books, and also give it like a much better interface like this. So just go to this link, then API. So this is the one that we will look at in the next video. So if you guys like the video, make sure you leave your feedback down in the comments, because it really helps me out a ton. And I'm out. Peace.